Margaret Mead has this quote that I love. It said, "Never underestimate the power of a small group of committed citizens to change the world, because indeed it's the only thing that ever has." That's like the Klamath to me. That's evidence of that. I think what that group of people came together and did was amazing. And it started with them coming together and sort of having a common vision of what they wanted for their community, what they wanted for their relationships, what they wanted for the environment. I don't think they came in because they felt like we are the leaders and we are going to fix this problem. What happened was they sat in a circle with people and they could no longer look at the situation or those people the way they used to. They were like forever changed, and there was nothing else they could do about it except continue to move forward with this sort of new awareness that they had. The conflict comes from a history of broken agreements over and over and over again on the part of almost everyone. It was one of the most conflicted situations and complicated situations and hateful situations. Battle lines were drawn and people came from all over to stand up in defiance of the federal government or support of the livestock industry or support of the tribes. And it just became this, mess where people were willing to kill people over it. Everything suffers as a result. Communities suffered, the economy suffered, the environment suffers, everything suffers. It takes people away from the recognition of that all this stuff is connected and moves them into this mindset of partitioning and separating and stovepiping. And that's not how you solve these problems. The more we've grown away from recognizing the interconnectedness of things, of all things, the worse our problems have become. There's this fundamental disconnection. People are disconnected from each other. People are disconnected from the land. People are disconnected from the social and economic systems that they essentially have created, but now all of a sudden they've taken on a life of their own, and people are disconnected and disenfranchised by them. We can partition things out. We can separate. We can divide and conquer. We can disconnect. My fate isn't inexorably linked to your fate. It doesn't matter what happens to you. It doesn't matter what happens to the water. It doesn't matter what happens to the air. The fact is, it all matters, and it's all connected, and it all ties together. I always sort of equated the notion of sort of being vulnerable with being weak. And what I have learned, and what I still struggle with because it's not a very comfortable place for me to be, is that the most profound experiences happen when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, because that's when you're real, and that's when you're authentic, and that's when a connection with another person can really form. And that's sort of where the magic is. And if you're not allowing yourself to, if you keep the walls, you just perpetuate the separateness. It's not about trusting myself enough to control it or to make sure sort of the right outcomes happen. I just have to trust myself enough to hold this space, which is different than trusting yourself to fix it. That's what you're trying to do, is create spaces for people to see each other, and the only way that can happen is if people feel safe enough to be sort of vulnerable and show people who they really are. The process is more important than the outcomes, which is a really hard space for myself and a lot of other people to be. You know, they want to know how we're going to go from A to Z with a group of people to bring them through the conflict out to this outcome. I have no idea. I have no idea. And I've had to get really comfortable with people saying, I can take a step. You can create all the strategies in the world for fixing the water conflict. If you don't have the foundation of that sort of human relationships as a foundation and sort of certain beliefs and behaviors at the heart of those strategies, the strategies alone aren't going to work.